Rollerdrome is one of those games that swept me off my feet and kept me hooked all day long until I had finished the entire game. This skater shooter game is like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with a bunch of other skaters that are trying to kill you. The game mixes the super smooth rollerblading tricks and jumps with the complex, fast-paced weapon swapping and ammo management seen in Doom Eternal. The game takes you through the Rollerdrome tournament in a dystopian 2030. You have to defeat all the hordes of enemies in each stage to move on to the next match in the tournament. However, to refill your ammo you have to do some sick tricks, grabs, and flips, and health is only dropped by killing enemies. Your ammo supply is very limited. It's shared between all of your guns, so in order to become a pro, you'll be expected to do tricks on the fly while shooting enemies and dodging sniper shots. The controls are usually very smooth and feel supernatural, consequently making you feel like a badass in every second of gameplay. You know when you're on a boat during the daytime, and then when you lie down at night, you can still feel the boat bobbing up and down on the waves. I had the exact same thing happen to me when I lay down in bed the night after beating this game, except I could feel myself swinging up and down in the quarter pipes after being launched into the air. The game gave me this sort of Tetris effect because I had beaten the entire thing in basically one sitting. The game is pretty short, but it's a good length, and I think it could vary quite a bit from person to person. The game is pretty difficult, and depending on your skill level, it could take anywhere from 3 to 6 hours to complete the main story. For me, it took 4.5 hours. But Rollerdrome is made for replayability. The gameplay is just so fun that after beating the campaign, you'll want to keep playing. Each level has 10 challenges for you to try and complete, and there is a harder New Game Plus version of the tournament for you to try as well. And obviously, it's the type of thing where the more you play, the better you're gonna get, and you'll be performing the gnarliest grinds in no time. There is such a high skill ceiling that you'll be able to keep improving on your old scores for ages. Honestly, I'm not that good. In each level, I would think that I had done really well, and I felt super cool pulling off all my tricks. And then I would get to the scoreboard, and I would usually get a D. Except in this clip of the scoreboard, I actually did pretty well. Because the game is short and only spans over 11 levels, there aren't that many different types of enemies, and there isn't too much variation between the design of the endgame levels. It's fine because all of the enemies are completely different from each other, and each have different weaknesses to certain guns. But having more types of enemies would be nice. A lot of the enemies at the end of the game kind of take your full attention to defeat, which can get overwhelming. I think having some more fodder enemies, like they do in Doom Eternal, would be a nice change. Having complicated enemies that make you think are good to have in the game, but when every enemy is like that, it can be a bit much. If the arena was filled with some more easier enemies that don't really pose much of a threat, it would allow you to do cool trick shots and just feel more awesome when you kill them. And then, the big bad enemies would stand out more and seem more intimidating. But I don't know, I'm not a game designer or anything, don't listen to me, I don't know. Also, sometimes the protagonist feels a little bit wacky to control, mainly when she bumps into a wall and kinda sticks there, or when you are trying to jump out of a quarter pipe or wall run. Perhaps with time you can get better at those and they'll become more simple, but they weren't very intuitive to me. The game is incredibly fun, with fast-paced, high-octane gameplay that keeps you coming back for more. There is a neat story told in the background between the levels, which is really interesting, and the world that the creators have made could totally set up a sequel. I would love a follow-up to this game that's a bit longer and more fully fleshed out, and just does everything bigger and better. But Rollerdrome is amazingly fun, so I'm giving it a 4 out of 5! My last video got like 400 views, and my subscriber count went up from 1 to 8. So thank you very much everybody for the support on that. It was about Resident Evil 4 and the remake, so if you want to go check that out now, I'll put the link in the description. And if you want to see any future videos, then consider subscribing. Thank you.